as a Republican Congressman, I have two choices here. I can lay down and I can bend my knee and kiss the pinky ring of King Trump forever and ever, right? Or I can do what I was voted in to do, hired to do, and take care of my constituents. And this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene has realized. What you cannot do with him at the helm, you cannot do both. Because there's nothing in his agenda that he is putting forward that is helping out low and middle income class people. So if you are a Republican congressman that hovers over Northwest Georgia or any one of those Southern Belt states, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, my God, you have no choice. Like, listen, I can sit here in January and kiss this man's pinky ring, but it's going to be at the demise of helping out my constituents, which at the end of the day, those are the ones that vote me in. Those are the ones that are giving me my job. All right, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another edition of Two Men in Black and White. We are joined by our special guest contributor, Herve Francois. He is from the Haitian delegation, here to fight back with us today. Always welcome, Herve. What a pleasure to see you, my friend. How you been?
Mark, it's always great to see you, my man. It's always a pleasure to have me on with you and Brock. Who
Yes,
says white
sir.
man can't jump. Absolutely, man. No, this is a lot of fun, man. Never
Yes,
dull
sir.
moment. Never dull
Yes,
moment on this podcast with you guys.
No, sir, we don't do that.
No.
Let's check in with Brock and Ellis up in the friendly confines of the upper Hudson River Valley, where the fall foliage has come and gone. Lots of leaves out there. It's raking season. But Brock, you know what? Donald J. Trump trying to hit us again with the banana in the tailpipe. Talking about how he wanted, all the Epstein files to come out and be seen and blah, blah, blah. But in the meantime, he's doing something that won't allow us to see it. Isn't this par for the course, though, Brock? Isn't this typical Trump?
He does have a survival instinct, right? So, he read the room. He saw the votes going against him. He saw that Tuesday was going to be embarrassing. So he flipped the switch, right? Now he's going to pretend like he told them all to vote for the disclosure. They'll all vote yes. And he's got another game to play with DOJ, another way of blocking it. I personally don't think the American public is going to go for it at this point. Mark, you've got me convinced. And we've already passed the tipping point that these shenanigans aren't going to work. It's just not going to go away. He's going to have to answer to it every single day in front of the press. But he kicked the can down the road. I think he probably bought himself a little bit of time. And I always worry he figures a way to lie and wiggle his way out of this shit. Yeah. So I am a little worried, but it was fun to watch him.
Yeah, he's squirming. Marjorie Taylor Greene out here, Herve. All of a sudden, she's become a nemesis. And she's become a real fly in the ointment for Mr. Trump. Yeah. What's your take on MTG and DJT's relationship? Where are they going?
Well, it seems like the relationships are definitely been severed, right? I mean, once you get on the other side of Donald Trump, he's not afraid to go out in the middle of the night and he starts spewing all his nonsense on his truth page and everything else like that. And now he's attaching nicknames to Marjorie Taylor Greene and calling her a traitor, and all the right typical Trump crap, right? All the stuff that we typically see from him. And listen, Marjorie Taylor Greene may be having a little bit of mea culpa, but, one of the few Republican senators in Marjorie Taylor Greene, not only issues with him not releasing the Epstein files in the way that he had promised, but with this most recent government shutdown, her being just really, really explicitly concerned in regards to the negative impact that expensive healthcare premiums was going to have on the people in her district, right? Now, expensive healthcare premiums has negatively impacted a lot of people across the country. She's one of the few Republican Congress people, if any, that have just really come out and mentioned that. It's like, hey, listen, we may want to band together and we're not going to cave in on this government shutdown, even if that means that the tax credits for ACA won't be extended and everything else like that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, hey, look, whatever gamesmanship we are playing here, at the end of the day, this is going to have an impact on people's lives to the point where people are going to have to go into 2026 we have open enrollment taking place right now since November 1st, right, for choosing your healthcare options for 2026. Healthcare premiums are shooting through the roof, some of them doubling, tripling, quadrupling, to the point where people are having to make a decision, you know what, I'm just not going to be able to carry healthcare. This is just getting extraordinary. It costs more than my mortgage, costs more than my rent, still got to put expensive food on the table at the supermarkets and everything else like that. So there is a realism that hit her, perhaps phone calls, emails from her constituents in her own backyards. She alluded to her family members a lot through a lot of this over the past several months. Themselves are going to be see, incredible increases in healthcare. Something that she said the other day, and I still take what she says with a grain of salt, but she's now apologizing for being a part of the toxic culture, right, from over the past couple of years and everything else like that. And so when you see, too late, understand. But when you see people doing that mea culpa, Mark, you start to question what's happened to you that has caused you to come around full circle. Brock,
and here's what's interesting. In a way, she won, right? Her posse, Tom Massey and Mace and Boebert and her, they won the war of ideas. And in essence, they outbullied Trump on the Epstein files topic. He folded, Mark.
Yeah.
So the question is, will more of them be emboldened now to argue and speak out against Trump because they realize he's just lost his power? Because MTG can't be the only person who's hearing from her constituents that they're... She's the only one. So the other's going to start speaking out on other topics, not just Epstein files.
Well, here's the thing, Mark. Brock, you had a good point. What to me, it's a great study. One that we've seen before is power in numbers, right? So collectively, a few of you got together and said, "No, Mr. Trump. Yes, we are Republicans, but you are wrong on this. You need to release these files. You need to release these files." Now that he's caved in, right, in a one-night stand, he's caved in, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Republican congressmen and senators, what is the next topic that you guys are going to collectively get together on and say, hey, Mr. Trump, that this is wrong, right? Because he can go after and attack one person here, one person there, Marjorie Taylor Greene here, and this person there and there. But collectively, and this is the strength in numbers, and I hope, if anything, and Brock, you bring up a good point, I hope, if anything, let this be a learning lesson for the Republicans that they can go now into their own corner and say, okay, listen, guys, by myself, I'm not going to win this fight against them. But collectively, minimum 10, 12 of us band together, and we sound large on this particular issue. Now you can start talking about climate. Now you can start talking about SNAP benefits. You know what? He's gonna scream and yell. He's gonna kick around like a little child does. But at the end of the day, he's gonna realize this is a fight that he cannot win, and he will cave in. If he's caved in on this, you got to believe that there are other fights that he would cave in on as well.
Caved in on tariffs. Caved on tariffs. In a whole bunch of places, right? And that wasn't internally generated. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, his nickname is Taco, and that's because he always chickens out, right? Yeah. So Kanks McTaco Tits is screwed on this. Herve, I don't think the other issues matter, because once this thing comes to full bore, there is going to be nothing left but impeach and remove. And that'll bring us right around November 26th.
But when you say that one thing, what are you talking about? The Epstein files?
The Epstein files. Once it goes full speed ahead, there's going to be nothing left but impeach and remove, in my estimation. Because Brock and I talked about this before. I said, Brock, this thing ain't going away. Yeah. Rick Wilson was talking about Pizzagate on his podcast today. Pizzagate caught fire like nobody's business. Pizzagate almost got a man killed who had nothing to do with pizza or gates. Right. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
When a madman showed up with a gun. Right. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene getting death threats. Yep. Right? Anybody in opposition to Donald Trump is getting death threats. Security firms are calling Marjorie Taylor Greene telling her life may be in danger.
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene also knows that her existence up in the northwest corner of Georgia is also in dire straits.
No doubt.
Okay? We are dealing with a rural economy up there. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember the name, but Dalton Carpets.
Okay.
That's going up there where Marjorie Taylor Greene was. They're all gone. Those carpet manufacturers, they're all gone. Right? They've been gone since the housing crisis in the 08, 09. Right? There's very little up there. And so when you start hurting these people economically, when you start hitting them in the rural cojones, right? There's not a lot left. And she's got a really good opponent, former military guy, African-American, impeccable service record, who's going to get a lot of money thrown his way because people want her out. So in my estimation, it's too little too late. People just don't want to be on the wrong side of history. What were you going to say, Brock?
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay. Well, but the thing
No,
is,
go ahead.
vote, like you said the other day, Brock, this vote coming up on Tuesday will be the stain that sticks with you like, a bad set of skid marks in some crisp white underwear.
But most of them are now going to vote for the disclosure because they feel like it's not, now it's in DOJ. Bondi's going to, play protector at this point. But what I was going to say is I commend Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey in particular to being out front and taking on Trump's vitriol head on. They didn't have a big group behind them. It was only 3 or 4 of them, right, when it started. I think it just gets easier from here for these MAGA congressmen who deep in their heart and behind closed doors are sick of getting pushed around by Trump.
Absolutely.
They're human beings, right? Like they're just getting pushed around all the time. No, that they're going to look for their issues. They can't go to town halls or getting yelled at by their constituents, right? They're going to pick their issues. And they're going to fight back, whether it's on healthcare subsidies, whether it's on SNAP. The farmers are still screwed, right? They still haven't gotten their aid. So there's plenty of, maybe they'll ignore the corruption, but they'll definitely start fighting back on the things that are affecting the people in their districts.
Well, Brock, look, it's an interesting point, right? And I think at the end of the day, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. It's like, hey, listen, you know what? I have 2 choices here. As a Republican congressman, I have 2 choices here. I can lay down and I can bend my knee and kiss the pinky ring of King Trump forever and ever, right? Or I can do what I was voted in to do, hired to do, and take care of my constituents. What you cannot do, and this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene has realized, what you cannot do with him at the helm, you cannot do both. You cannot do both because there's nothing in his agenda that he is putting forward that is helping out low and middle income class people. So if you are a Republican congressman that hovers over Northwest Georgia or any one of those Southern Belt states, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, my God, you have no choice. Like, listen, I can sit here and and kiss this man's pinky ring, but it's going to be at the demise of helping at my constituents, which at the end of the day, those are the ones that vote me in. Those are the ones that are giving me my job. So I think some of them are going to start realizing, because like you said, town hall meetings, some of them aren't even showing up to the town hall meetings.
They're not showing up.
Right? Trump has told them, don't even go to the town hall meetings. For those that dare to show up to the town hall meetings, they're getting eviscerated by their constituents. So at this point, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you choose not to listen to your constituents, well, next time around, they're not going to go ahead and support the other person simply because Trump is telling them to. They're just not going to vote for you because you didn't do your job for them. They don't need to sit here and wait and say, well, we'll just wait until Trump decides to back to, whoever that's going to run against them in the next primary. No, you done screwed up, right?
So you think, for you two guys, you think these voters aren't going to leave MAGA they're just going to want a different MAGA person there because they're still getting their racism and their border shit, yelling at the border and, watching brown people get cracked over the heads and rounded up, and they're loving that shit, right? So are they peeling away, or they're just going to blame the person in the seat and pick the next guy?
I think they're gonna blame the person in the seat, right? And and we're seeing it like these little town hall meetings. The farmers, who are the farmers blaming? The little town hall meetings, they're not yelling at Trump. They're yelling at their elected official. The farmers, they're not yelling at Trump. Some of them are. They're yelling at their elected officials because the elected officials are blindly supporting Trump in whatever he's saying and he's doing. So it's going to be, when it's time for that elected official to be up for re-election, most likely they are not going to get the votes. Who is going to replace that person? Yes, it could be another MAGA official. It could be a centrist Republican who cares. But at the end of the day, that voter is going to be like, hey, listen, as you could see, we voted out your opponent because they didn't lower supermarket costs, food costs. They didn't lower healthcare costs. They didn't fight for us. And at the end of the day, that's what you wanted a person. That you want to pledge your allegiance to Donald J. Trump, fine, go ahead. But damn it, if you're going to pledge your allegiance to him, you better at the same time do your damn job and help lower my healthcare costs and food costs at the same time. But you can't have it both ways.
That's the congressman dilemma. But I'll tell you, after watching what went on in Charlotte today, day one of ICE going into Charlotte, and it was massive pushback, protests, and fighting against ICE right away, right? Like they'd seen the blueprint from other cities, and they were just there the first day. As the National Guard and others are leaving Chicago, I feel like head, tail between their legs, right? Like taking the L. So I just feel like Trump is dead man walking right now. Like none of his policies really are working. People are fighting him everywhere on every topic. He still has the levers of power, right? He can still have dinner with the Saudi prince and give those guys a new aircraft where I'm sure they paid him off in cryptocurrency somewhere we'll never see, right? Like he can still do that shit. But I think all his kind of key initiatives here are meeting resistance. And I think he's like a weakened, he's punch drunk Muhammad Ali in the ring. 45-year-old Muhammad Ali who doesn't have much float like a butterfly or sting like a bee. That's how Charlotte read to me today. It's like, okay, ICE comes to Charlotte. Charlotte is up in arms and basically trying to kick him out right from the get-go.
Yep. And think about it. His other, dog wagging strategy, send the biggest frickin' aircraft carrier we've got to the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela.
There's 10 of them. 10 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Including the biggest, but 10 aircraft carriers.
Why? For a country like Venezuela, who has no interest in going to war with us, absolutely none. Not only that, they've not even done anything that warrants this kind of response. Like, where are the brass saying, yeah, we're not going to waste the gas and the diesel to get, 10 destroyers and aircraft carriers off the coast of Venezuela?
Well, Mark,
for what?
Mark, did you see the admiral of the Caribbean Seas, the U.S. admiral for the Caribbean Seas, resigned?
Yes.
He's an African-American man. He resigned about a month ago. And
he was a fraternity brother.
Oh, was he? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, brother Halsey.
He resigned because he just could not see eye to eye with what Hegseth and Trump were doing in the Caribbean. They just blindly bombing these fast boats with absolutely no evidence whatsoever that these fast boats are carrying any kind of illegal drugs, that these are drug cartels in these boats. They just randomly bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela. They've now bombed 20. So after a while, the admiral's like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? What is it? Show me some evidence. And if there's some evidence here, drug cartel, there's ways to go ahead and stop them beyond just blowing up the
international community? Where's the international community holding us accountable?
They're not going to step in.
Arresting people, putting out arrest warrants.
Yeah, they're not going to step in. International community, not in those waters, they're not going to step in. And now Venezuela's sitting there because they want Maduro out and everything else like that. They're going to blame it on drugs. Fentanyl's is made in China, flows into the United States from Mexico. Venezuela's got nothing to do with it. To what end? And all B-52 bombers, 10 battleships.
It makes no sense. It's a waste of resources, a waste of energy. It is a patent abuse of power.
Yeah.
And, for us to be sitting back, still racing around in our supersized SUVs, worrying about, the kids' travel soccer games this weekend and, getting an early jump on Christmas shop. I don't understand why America has its head up its ass for this long. We're going to play the Epstein game for 3 more years? I think fucking not. There is no god-awful way this man can juggle this ball, and it's only one ball. He can't keep it in the air for 3 years. Not with all the salaciousness. You scroll through YouTube, and if your feed is one of these politically, motivated feeds like me and Brock's, all you see is Epstein email says, Epstein email.
So, Mark, let me ask you this.
Down the ledger.
Mark, let me ask you this. Is it, based on what you're saying, is your predicament that the contents that come out of these files, and if this list is ever produced, is going to be so damaging that the House is going to introduce papers of impeachment? Is that your predicament?
That's where I think we are.
I don't see, listen, from your lips to God's ears, but I just don't see that happening with this House and this Senate. I just don't see it happening. They've been bringing impeachment. I'm not saying that he would not be deserving of it. Hear me clearly. I'm just saying that these folks, as much as they're been
I don't see it with this group either. I see it with the group that gets in 26. If we're allowed to have an election, right?
Well, that's a whole other. God, get me good.
If a year from now we can get an election, a free and fair election,
right,
in many of the different places. Think about it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is fighting for her life.
Yeah.
She may not win in a district that she won by 30, 40 points. Typically she normally runs unopposed. I think her first 2 terms.
Yeah.
Last time around, she had a really good African-American serviceman who challenged her. Couldn't break the 20-point margin from what I recall. And he was running a damn good campaign.
But Mark, here's the thing. But here's the irony though, right? I mean, if her political career could be at risk because she has been so vocal about this list needing to be released, and then on top, the emails needing to be released, and then on top of that, the government shut down, and she was blaming Republicans, specifically Speaker Mike Johnson, for the government shutdown lasting as long as the longest government shutdown in history. SNAP benefits negatively impacted people in her district and around the country and everything else like that. So if she is now, after being so vocal about what she believes in, if her political career is not at risk, is her political career at risk because her constituents disagreed with her stance on the government shutdown needing to end earlier, as well as no need for these Epstein files and emails to be released? I think it's backwards. I think she viewed her political career being at risk, and that caused her to change her outlook. She's reading the tea leaves early. I think she's in the same position of every Republican congressperson who's seen these 10, 20 plus point swings in their district and figuring, do I need to break from, if I stay with Trump, I might get steamrolled. Do I need to break from Trump? Why Tennessee in 2 weeks is going to be so interesting. Because there's a special election in Tennessee in 2 weeks. Does the MAGA candidate stay with Trump or break on some issues? Because the Democrats come in hard, and that's a plus 22 district. So the issue is laying on the table of all these congressmen, no matter what they say, right? So either they really just have a bifurcated situation. 2 roads to ride. They either break from Trump on some stuff or everything, or they keep trying to ride his coattails and say, wow, I'm in such a deep MAGA country
that my constituents are riding with Trump to the end, and they're the ones that are just going to keep quiet and just roll along.
And if I speak up, it's to my demise. And we know every single person in Congress, both Republican and Democrat, it is all about self-preservation.
Their jobs. They love their jobs too much. That's why I want term limits. They love their fucking jobs too much. All right, let me shift gears a little. Herve, we haven't had you on a little bit. Couple of questions. Quick answers. Been about 3 months. Who has impressed you in the last 3 months?
You mean a politician?
Yeah, we'll stay on politics for now. Maybe we'll get to other things later, but for politics for now.
Oh, well, okay. I will go ahead and tell you this. This is who has impressed me over the last 3 months. It is not a person, but more so a group. And the impression is not because I agree 100% with everything that they believe in their say, but just because they are so steadfast in their beliefs and they're so gung-ho. It's this corner of small progressive politicians. Let me tell you something right now. What has impressed me is what I have seen AOC do, what I have seen Bernie do, what I have seen most recently Mandami do. And hear me clearly, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm impressed because of their agendas and what they fight for. I am impressed because they believe without fear. They stand tall, they stand proud, they are extremely vocal, they travel, they are messaging across the country without fear. We just finished talking about self-preservation and Republicans not wanting to stand up against Trump at fear of their political career. These folks that I just talked to, I don't think they give a damn whether or not their political career is at risk. They are fighting for what they believe in. They are traveling the country. They're going to red states, blue states, red cities, blue cities. They don't give a damn because they honestly believe in their message. AOC, Bernie, they were out in California trying to get people to understand the significance of having to vote yes for Prop 50. I respect that. They have impressed me. Again, their agenda, we shall see. Obviously,
Okay.
it was Zohran Mandami.
Okay, I got
right?
next
Okay.
one. Next one. Next one.
There we go.
Brock? Wait a
Yes or
minute.
no question. I'm hijacking your show. I'm hijacking your show, Mark. Yes or no? Chuck Schumer stays as Senate Minority Leader.
Well, what do you mean stay in that he wants to stay or he gets voted out?
No, if you had a vote, you vote for him or you want him out?
I would have voted him out years ago. If I had an opportunity to vote him out again today, absolutely I would. He has absolutely no business, and he just showed his true colors again and again and again as to why he should have been voted out years ago. The last person that
Okay, next
fighting for government
question, real quick. Will you be participating in the economic blackout?
From November 25th for 1 week.
Okay, he knows about it. He's aware of it. Okay. Awareness is step one.
Yeah. Listen, I can arguably say, yes, I'll participate it. Now, truth be told, I don't shop a lot to begin with. So
okay.
Not going to
but restaurants?
Right. Well, was restaurants included in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could go local. Local, yes. Okay. Like chains, no, I think, Mark. I'm not sure.
Chains,
no.
Arby's. One of Trump's top supporters.
I don't know where Arby's is around me anyway. I'm not even worried about that. You put a gun to my head, I don't know where the hell Arby's is around here.
You're a yes on the blackout.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Now, let me tell you something right now. Here's my thing on a blackout. I would prefer the blackout. I would prefer the blackout be more specific as to its structure, its agenda, and its implementation. That you're targeting Amazon and Home Depot and yada, 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 and everything. I get it. Remember, this was done back in February of this year. Of all the companies, Target got negatively impacted the most, negatively impacted the share price.
Target got crushed.
Some Target executives lost their jobs and so on and so forth, right? I think Target, they stood out getting hurt more than others because Target was more promotional and they were more steadfast on DEI than all those other companies, store within a store, for small businesses.
Yeah. They deserved it more. Okay,
So,
last one from me, Mark, and then I hand the microphone. Then I'll shut up. Last one from me is: are you more inclined, less inclined, or in the exact same place to be out on the streets at the next protest?
No, man, less inclined.
Less inclined.
No.
Less inclined.
Tell you why. I told you this before, and I'm steadfast my goddamn self, okay? I'm telling you right now, I done did my protest. The bottom of my shoes are worn the hell out, bro. My time has gone, right? This is like you've seen like Creed Part 3 and the end of the movie. Rocky doesn't go into the ring. He looks up at Apollo and he says, "It's your time." That's what I'm telling everybody else, Brock.
We saw what happened to Apollo.
Well, Apollo, no. I'm not talking about the father. I'm talking about the son. He won. He survived. I said Apollo 3. I'm not talking about Rocky movie. Apollo 3 movie. Apollo lived, okay? And he said, it's your time. Because Rocky's basically said, I had my time. Apollo, it's your time. And that's what I'm saying right now. So let me tell you something, so you're not upset, Brock. I'm in 100% full support of anyone goes out and protest, and I believe they should. But the protest is not going to be led by me. My protest days on this man is by
I didn't ask you to lead. I asked if you were going to participate. Okay.
I am staying home.
Okay.
My voice has been made loud and clear. I've told you before.
Oh, but yeah, fuck it. Are your sons more inclined to join a protest?
No, man. And I'll tell you right now, the main reason why is because they are just so, and I wouldn't be surprised them and a lot of their colleagues or friends in their 20s. So my son's 24 and 23. It's just they are just so disgusted with the state of politics right now, And you can't blame them. They're just so disgusted with the state of politics, right? I know, Brock, you want them out there, and I wish they'd be out there too, but it's just...
Mark, now I'm depressed. Now, he just bummed me out. I thought 3 months later that maybe we're getting some more...
I'll tell you what, it's what they would stand up for is the progressive movement, right? Like Mandami, like my son, he's like, I'm Mandami, yeah! He doesn't even live in New York City, right?
He's speaking their language, though.
He speaks their language. He's 34 years old, right? My son is closer in age to him than he is to a Trump or he is to a Chuck Schumer, right? So he gets Mandami. And I was talking to a buddy of mine today. We talk about capitalism. Brock, you and I, we're ex-Wall Street executives and everything else like that. But at the end of the day, people say, oh, socialism will never work. We say, no, socialism will never work. When we understand it. We get it. Socialism never worked. We don't dig in to figure out why. We just assume socialism never worked. But with those folks that voted for Mandami in New York City a couple of weeks ago, they say, hey, listen, socialism may not work. You guys are right. But let me tell you for damn sure what doesn't work for us, capitalism. So we willing to try something else. Right. Even though my parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and brothers saying that socialism will never work, I don't give a damn because I got 2 jobs and I can't afford healthcare and food and childcare and everything else like that. So I want to see more protests. I want to see more people out there protest. But the people that I want to see out there protest are the folks that have stayed home forever. For the folks that have stayed home forever and now they are getting negatively impacted. And that's why I want to see more Brock analysis hit out there.
Yeah.
Well,
right? I've been out there.
Okay, so you led me to believe that you weren't exactly on board with the progressive agenda.
I respect the progressive agenda.
Well, you respect your children?
Of course I respect my children.
So how are they going to live if they can't get affordable housing? How are they going to make ends meet if they're saddled with student loan debt? How are they going to make ends meet when they're 20 years away from buying? You got a 34-year-old? He's 20 years away.
I have a 24-year-old. I have a 24-year-old.
24-year-old.
Yeah, I'll say Mandami's 34. But right.
Right. So your son's 20. He's 30 years away from buying his first home.
Mark, let me tell you something right now. This American dream in its current
It's a nightmare.
It truly could be out of reach for my sons and many kids in their 20s.
Yes, sir.
You talk about purchasing their first single-family home. I'll sit here and tell you right now, I don't know if that's going to happen. The average age for a single family home buyer right now is 42 years old. The average age in the United States of America, the average price of a single family home in the United States of America is $415,000. It's out of reach. We haven't talked about healthcare costs yet. We haven't talked about child care costs.
You can't have both. Can't have all three of those.
Can't have all three of those. But then what's left? But then you're going to turn it around and tell me capitalism works. Capitalism works. Capitalism. Okay, capitalism works, but I can't buy a house. Capitalism works. I can't afford health care. Capitalism works. I can't afford supermarket food. Capitalism works. My wife can't go to work because she has to stay home because childcare costs is too damn expensive. But yeah, capitalism works. At some point, something's going to cave in. So these kids are like, F you with the capitalism. I'm willing to try socialism because I know for sure capitalism with my 2 jobs and $3,000 a month rent in New York City and healthcare costs and child costs and food costs going through the roof, the dam is breaking. So we can't hold water no more. So something has to give.
So it's legislation, right? We've got to legislate our way back to an affordable, more fair, more just America. But we need young people to get involved. We need more Mondanis to run for office. We need more young people to pay attention and actually figure out the actual facts and these decisions that are being made that are impacting their lives so adversely.
100%. And they're living it. People, there's this real horrible perception out there that students, they graduate from college and all they want to do is, hang out at their parents' home in the basement and they're lazy. I think that's the furthest thing from the truth, man. Unemployment rate for college students is the highest it's been in over 15 years. These kids are graduating, they're busting their ass, they're going to good, they're working hard, and they cannot find jobs. Part of that is the current climate we're in. Part of it, as we know, is AI is freaking taking away the entry-level jobs. If you're a STEM major, if you're an engineer, a computer science major, it's extremely difficult for kids out there right now. Single-family home purchase? Give me a damn break. That's a cherry on top. Before, we used to do that in our late 20s. This is not happening at best until its early 40s.
And older people don't want to step aside and retire because they can't afford to. They're looking out, so they're hanging in there longer.
Can't longer, man. People want their pensions. They got 3% mortgage on their homes. They don't want to turn around and flip that into a 6% mortgage and having to pay expensive rents. And so people right now, my point is people right now, young ones, they are willing to try something else, something different. And I cannot blame them for that. Even if I can sit there and tell them in their eyes, socialism ain't going to work. But they're going to well, tell me why capitalism does work, Dad or Mr. Francois. Tell me, explain to me. Because I got 2 jobs. You told me to go to college, get a degree. I got a degree. You told me to go back to college, get a master's. I got my master's degree. I'm making $60,000 a year and I can't freaking rub 2 nickels together to pay rent, car note, healthcare, on and on and on and on and on. To what end? So that's why I'm saying I'm not surprised about the temper level of the progressive movement because they believe they are the answer. We old heads may disagree with them, but they're saying, hey, look, this stuff from the past, it ain't working. Now, Mark, to your point, do we fix from what's in the past? Do we try to fix capitalism so it then can become more affordable for everybody else? Or is it just broken? That Bill Ackerman gave millions of dollars to Cuomo to try to defeat Mondami, and that didn't work. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Bill Ackerman, you're worth billions of dollars. And let me get this straight. Your anger is with people busting their ass in New York City, making $50, $60, $80, $100,000 a year? Because you don't like the fact that they sitting there screaming at the top of the lungs, let's try socialism, and you're a multi-billionaire.
Right.
So you think any one of these cats up in New York City making 5-figure salary has the opportunity to one day become a billionaire like you did? Brother, that ain't going to happen. And they're not asking to become millionaires, these folks that want to join the progressive movement. They're not asking to become millionaires. They're not asking to become billionaires. They're talking about basic necessities of life. If I got to be a renter for the rest of my life, damn, I'll be a renter.
Right. So you okay with that?
I'm okay with what?
With the status quo, because it doesn't sound like you're sold on the progressive agenda. Brock and I here on this program, we're sold on the progressive agenda. We think it needs to be more affordable. We think America, you just quoted some of the statistics yourself. We have taken the most basic human right, housing, shelter, and turned it into a luxury item only for the rich and shameless. We got real estate investment trusts. We've got all these corporate GGs buying up huge swaths of property, buildings. Housing is not for people anymore.
Right,
housing is for money.
My question is, I'm all for affordable housing. And I spoke to a buddy of mine earlier today. I am all for any time these Republicans get in power, we see the gap of income inequality go wider and wider. It's at a disgusting level. So my question to you, if the three of us, we support affordable housing, we support affordable healthcare costs, and affordable supermarket food costs and everything else like that, affordable healthcare costs. So we check the box. In the three of us, we're in agreement of all of those, 100%. Next question is, what structure gets us to good affordability levels in those infrastructures of living and healthcare and food? Is it a revision of our current capitalist system, or is it throwing that out and pursuing a socialist agenda? Therein lies my question, and I can't sit here and tell you that I know the answer to that question.
Well, I'm totally there on healthcare. I mean, I'm a total universal healthcare guy. So let's start there, which is such a huge part of GDP, because our healthcare outcomes are horrendous compared to our dollar inputs. So that's the easiest one of those three. I think housing is the hardest one. I mean, if I was answering, I don't think the food industry needs to be socialized, but needs to be made more competitive. You know, we've allowed it to be too consolidated, and that goes back to me being a pro-regulation guy. Like, I'm okay with capitalism, but capitalism, in my book, needs a lot of regulation, because when not regulated, it accrues all the riches to the too few. Yeah, to the top.
That's right.
Housing's the trickiest one, because I was going to joke. I guess I'll make a white guy joke with two black men and a white guy, because I'm sure a lot of white guys, right? A lot of white people be like, oh, I'm all for affordable housing. So where are you building that? Not in my neighborhood, right? Because the first thing they think of affordable housing means people of color, right? So our racism kicks in. That's the first thing we think. And then people are like, wait a second. In my little Hudson Valley neighborhood? Whoa, hey, I'm all for affordable housing. It's just like, where's the plant going to get built? And where's the sewage facility going to get built, right? And where's the dump, right? Hey, all those things sound great, but no one wants them in their own, near themselves.
Well, Brock, is it that tricky? I mean, can't we what happened to all the affordable home builders, right? They all went away after the housing crisis.
Should be all tax incentives. Yeah, I think we can do some things through capitalism. Just like we could do it with green energy. All those tax incentives and incentives for investors to take the risk helped push along an industry that maybe needed that boost till it could get its feet underneath it. And affordable housing needs that as well. Because I don't think, you tell me, Herve, you play in this world, I don't think financiers want to invest in affordable housing, do they? It's not like a good money game, right? It's more of a public good. It's a public good.
It's not so much the lenders. Here's where the financiers will come into place, right? The financiers will come into play if the financiers know that there's a backstop, right? That they know that this affordable housing project is going to generate enough cash flow to go ahead and pay the debt service on a monthly basis and everything else like that. But what do we need affordable housing? We need more supply of land available. I have not done the deep dive research, but apparently the city of Houston, Texas is a replica, a poster child city of how they dealt with homelessness in their cities, as there's widespread homelessness, as we know, in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and even New York City and everything else like that, right? Where they just made so much land available, they didn't get caught up in that this particular land is zoned for an office complex. This one is zoned for a mobile park. This one is zoned for a hospital or something like that. They're like, let's rip out the zoning and let's just let these developers build. Let's give them the tax credits because the cost of building has gotten so expensive on both the labor and material basis. You can't blame a developer in this capitalistic society of needing to make a profit. She needs to pay their people. They got to pay for their materials.
So this worked in Houston? You feel like the story end is this worked in Houston when they pulled away some of the restrictions on where people could build? Okay.
Right.
We gotta try 1,001 different things to find a blueprint that works, right?
That's why they're saying that California's different. Every city's different, without a doubt.
Because Houston, remember, you got room in Houston. You got room in Texas.
You got land.
You don't have room like that in Atlanta.
But you know what? Conversations, and like this would be a conversation that should go on in a committee in Congress, right? Where people with different ideas talk, but we don't have that now, right? We don't come to anything, right? So no one gets in the room and figures out, let's try this or that, because we don't legislate anything.
Let's talk to the
anymore.
Let's talk to the local politicians of Houston and ask them how they do it. I'm a big believer in best practices. They're saying that if they can replicate this in some of the cities of California, then all of a sudden California is going to be able to start being on a proactive basis, dealing with their homeless issue and everything else like that, right? And then when you see that, as long as the lenders to affordable housing has backstop support from the federal government, right?
Yeah.
Packaging of loans and all this other stuff, do that, they would definitely lend on affordable housing and stuff like that.
Look, there's answers to these things. Other countries have figured it out. Certain municipalities have figured it out, right? These are not unanswerable questions. It's the willingness, right? And the story we've sold ourselves here, from that bullshit bootstraps fucking mentality to the whole, like, we've always allowed absurd unequal wealth in this country, right? From the Rockefellers and the Morgans and this and that. And for a period in the mid-50s, right, the tax rate was like more high 80s, right? 90% at the highest tax earners. And that's when it was supposedly the country had its biggest boom, right? And then for like 50 years, really our entire lives, taxes on the wealthiest have gotten cut. Our entire lives, right? Cut, right? And it really accelerated with Reagan. And so why? But politicians still win on that bullshit. It still wins, right? It still wins. Like, less regulations. And like, people are like, yeah, less regulations. Like, dude, you're the worker who's going to have a fucking anvil fall on your head. You're the one who's going to die when there's no regulations. Like, I understand the boss wants no regulations. But you're going to be the guy who the coal mine is going to blow up when you're in it because there's no regulations. But how the working class has been bamboozled into rooting for these things that hurt them. I know racism plays a big part, but even on some things that you would think would operate outside of race, like someone's personal safety, somehow the electorate has got
in regards to income inequality, man. The case in point is this big BS bill that was passed in July. Yeah. It's for the oligarchs.
Yep.
It's not for low and middle income class people. They cut $187 billion from the Affordable Health Care Act just back in July. That was before the government shut down. I'm like, so folks, look, you want to feel for people. Right? I'm Christian at heart. You feel for folks that are suffering and everything else like that. But then on the other side, I'm like, you done did a lot. I think I voted more for you than you done voted for yourself. Go figure.
It's the racism.
But dude, it's racism, and there's also a major lack of education that people are bringing to the polls when they're going to vote. A wealthy person goes to the polls. They're going to vote for the agenda that supports their lifestyle. A poor person goes to vote, and they're going to vote for an agenda that may not necessarily support their lifestyle. So I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just voted for an agenda that's going to support the lifestyles of the millionaires and billionaires.
83.
Well, it's just mind-boggling, and this is why when the three of us spoke earlier this year, you asked me, guys, what is it going to take? And my response was back then, as it is again today, it's going to have to blow up. And I think you're beginning to see some.
I think burn it all. I think was it burn it all down.
Burn it all down.
Yeah, burn it all. We remember the quote. Burn it all down. We remember.
Down, baby. Burn it all down.
I didn't get to ask the question. Do you think we've burned it all down yet? And I guess the answer is not quite yet.
Hardly
Not even close.
Not if there's 87 billionaires, right?
Well, and again, look, if you worked hard and you become a billionaire, I don't have a problem with you. I don't have a problem. My problem is how you've made it that much more difficult for those
other
folks that are bootstrapping themselves.
Yeah, who just want to eat lunch, right? Yeah.
I think we can have a country of both billionaires as well as people that are working hard just to freaking take care of themselves and their families. But we've set up a structure that you set it up for the billionaires at the expense of hard work.
Yeah, we don't need trillionaires.
And that's which they just voted on that pay package for Elon.
Especially for your taxes.
$1 trillion pay package.
And he doesn't want to pay tax.
Okay, Mark, I got a new thing I want to come with, which is our bullshitter of the day. Before we go to quick hits, the bullshitter of the day. And my bullshitter of the day, who's yours?
Stephen A. Smith, once again.
Oh,
don't get me started with that boy.
You
went there too, that boy. If you want to go there, fine. But Brock, you have the floor.
I didn't go down that rabbit hole. I didn't watch Jamel Hill's thing. I didn't watch her podcast yet, where her and Carrie Champion and Michelle Beadle kind of were talking about it. I haven't watched that yet. But Stephen A., what's
killing his brand.
When he went to...
The biggest issue that I have with Stephen A., it's two. I have no problem if, right, you've built your career as a sports reporter, right? You got your own platform and everything else like that. And now you want to delve into the realm of politics, right? You're showing up on people's podcasts and TV shows. And I got no problem with that. I'm never going to be the one that says just shut up and dribble, right? Talk about
Mark, you hear that? Mark, you hear that?
I'll never be that guy, right?
Look, me and Mark were two very successful high school basketball players, and now we've decided to venture out into a political podcast.
Whether it was by choice or by...
There's no NIL in high school back in those days. Otherwise, we'd be retired. But anyway, sorry, Herve. Back to what you were saying about Stephen A. going out of his lane.
So yeah, I got no problem going. All my point is, it seems like a lot of what he's doing is that he's bringing his bravado from sports world into politics, and it's not the same thing. If you're going to come into politics, you got to do your homework. You got to do your research. You have to be more than just opinionated. It seems like he's on attack mode big time. My second biggest issue that I have with him, and he's on attack mode big time as if he's in attack mode talking against the Knicks or the Cowboys more than anything else, right? You always get the Cowboys and all this other stuff. And have at it, right? That's just sports. But when you start talking politics, you're talking about people's lives. You're not talking about a Sunday afternoon football game or a Friday night basketball game. You're talking about people's lives. So people are going to take your commentary a hell of a lot more seriously than the laughs that you generate from people when you talk about football and basketball and so on and so forth. So my thing is, you need to educate yourself more on the issues before ranting and raving at the same volume level that you do when you talk about sports. You need to come with more research. He does that. Do that. That's my biggest issue with him. Or a number one issue with him. My number two issue, and probably bigger issue, is, damn it, and if I were to see him face to face, I would tell this in his face, you better stop attacking our black women on your platform. It's out of control. And there are many instances, not just one.
Period.
He has done it with Michelle Obama. He has done it with Serena Williams. He has done it with Jasmine Crockett. He has done it with
Carrie Champion.
He has done it with the young lady that she had played basketball at Georgetown, and she's on ESPN herself. And she had come and he had said, "Oh,
yeah, the Knicks."
That does the Knicks play, but she's very good. Knicks play by Brock. You remember? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly.
People only know her because she's been on my show and everything else like that. And after a while, Mark, you see a pattern. And
Hello.
it's like to a point where it's like, hey, man, this is some, and you are a person in Stephen A. Smith that talks very proud about how you were raised by your mom and by your sisters,
yeah.
right? These very, very strong black women. And all you do is attack our sisters and unprovoked attacks on these sisters. And I have a major, major problem with that. A major problem with that.
And his attacks always buy into that conservative white media narrative.
Yeah.
Right? So
100%.
they're always having that tint that allows white media to embrace his thought on these women. Right? And there's no other figure in American society attacked as much as the black woman.
And there you go. They're the most educated group in our country.
Period.
But they have been
Most vilified
in this country. And
Yep.
we don't need another prominent African American male attacking our sisters unprovoked for no reason whatsoever, only if anything to make a name for your damn self. You got your big contract money from
Got your money.
ESPN.
Shut up.
Congratulations and everything else like that. But
Right.
my issue is I think he has done it at the expense, and if you just take a look at social media, Mark and Brock,
They're killing him.
they're killing him.
Killing
They
him.
are this is not going unnoticed. It is not going unmentioned. You have seen white men on social media go after Stephen A. Smith because it's so blatant what he's doing.
Serena's husband.
Because but here,
Yeah.
Serena.
Had him.
So he's like, I got to stand up for my wife. And as soon as he brought it to Stephen A.'s attention, said, well, I never been married before. And so my saying is like, Stephen A., be careful, because this black community that has supported you for many years, that has backed you along the way, they will disappear, particularly the sisters to begin with. They will walk away from you in a quick heartbeat.
No
Because
doubt.
we see
Wow.
what you're doing.
Okay. Well, my BSer of the day was going to be
Anyway, so
was gonna
after
be that Treasury Secretary that tried to blame rising beef prices on migrants bringing cattle across the border. He literally went on Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, who used to have credibility as a business reporter, and he literally blamed it on somehow they're just waltzing over the wall, through the wall, around the wall, with the cattle that's infecting other things. I mean, seriously, I know some shit flies on Fox that doesn't work anywhere else, but that was a really, really bad attempt at
that's an example.
pushing blame.
That's an
They are
example, my
reaching.
man. You are a Treasury Secretary. Stay
Yeah.
in your lane. Stay
Yeah.
in your lane. You think that because Trump can go around saying stupid stuff
And lying. They all think they can lie like him and get away with it. All right, Mark, you got a quick hit for us today?
Got nothing. My Stephen A. Smith, I was getting all fired up watching Roland just dismantle him earlier.
Really
So
that happened today?
that was, yeah.
On
There's
what-
Roland
Any
Martin.
particular issue? Yeah, I know Roland Martin.
Yeah,
Any particular
Roland's
issue?
got a good video where he just,
Yeah.
Well, he's knocking them down one by one. Charlemagne and Stephen A. back to back. My quick hit was, look, on a more later note, for us old timers, I'll start with you, Mark, because this is really our sweet spot. Have you watched the Eddie Murphy documentary on Netflix?
Saw it 2 days ago.
I have been meaning to watch it. I was going to watch it last week. I fell asleep. I turned it on and it watched me. But I can't wait to see it.
Tell us that's not the
because
first time. That's
I
not the first time.
I love Eddie Murphy. So yeah, it's on my to-do list.
I will tell you, it's so.
Watched it last night.
Yeah.
What's that?
What did you think, Brock?
I mean, first of all, it just reminded me how huge he was. Remember we talked about how big Pee Wee Herman was after we watched his documentary?
Right.
And Eddie Murphy was 50 times Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
It just reminded me when Delirious. I watched, we had it, the VHS, right? Old school VHS. 1,000 times, knew every line on it. That's a fire, right? Like, even me, my wife were talking afterwards, like, we've been quoting that Delirious for 50 years.
Yeah, right.
But he made a really interesting point when he talked about before him, it was like one black guy at a time.
Yeah.
And he opened up sort of the floodgates where more than one black artist could be successful at a time. And he's you know what? He's really smart. Like, he's smart. And I can't believe he doesn't drink and never did drugs. And that's why he stayed out of all the shit. And he never got dragged down in the way that Pryor did. And he even told the story about what? Robin Williams and him and Belushi or something went out to a club and they just dropped coke on the table and those guys were going at it. And he was, so anyway, I enjoyed the doc. I actually wish he would even open up more. He's still very reserved, even in his documentary. Like, he's
You never hear about Eddie Murphy out in the, like, you see him at the big stuff. You don't.
They talked
Eddie
about
Murphy.
that a little bit. They talked about that a little, Mark. To say that he is not the life. When he goes out, he is not the life of the party.
Yeah.
He's not the one swinging on the chandelier, doing lines of coke or drinking everything else like that. The one thing he said in that documentary, Brock, that stood out to me, you know, again, I don't know, he wasn't comparing himself against other comedians, but it was a reason why he did not go down that dark hole that we know so many comedians before him that have gone, John Candy and all the likes, and John Belushi and Robin Williams, and it just goes on and on and on, right? Is that he loves himself. That's what
he made a good point. Yeah, he's like,
I love myself. You know what I mean? And go. That's why I never went down that way. You know, he loves himself, and I thought that was really deep. I think it was very, very self-reflecting because Lord knows he had the chances and everything else like that.
Yeah.
But I always stand proud when I see an African-American actor with his platform. He opens it up and invites.
did so many good things. You forgot. It was such a reminder. They did all the family films, right? Like, he really transitioned and did a lot of stuff.
Mark, you might know this for certain. If not, you might be able to look it up. I do believe when you remember his movie Harlem Nights with Red Fox and Arsenio Hall and all
Everybody.
those.
Yeah.
I believe all of the cast members in that movie, of course, including Eddie, all gave their proceeds to Red Fox because he was broke. That's why he gave the opportunity to Red Fox to be in it because Red Fox was financially done.
Right.
And that was one of the main reasons why they shot that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 Hours was really the first great black white or first great cop buddy movie. Not the first, no, because maybe Butch Cat, but like a black white, and then that became a whole genre of movies, right? The whole Mel Gibson series and all that stuff. But that one was so good, like it was like the blueprint for a whole.
And you talking about loving yourself, and because of loving yourself, not getting caught up in the drugs and all the late nights and everything else like that. Guess how come he was the one that was able to star in? No, I think it was 48 Hours. It was
because Richard Pryor lit himself on fire. But I mean, it's got to piss you guys off. Like, they did the Saturday Night Live scene. And it was like Tracy Morgan and Chappelle and him and Chris Rock. And it was like, well, it is. And then Keenan, it is kind of like one guy at a time on Saturday Night Live. Like, I have the one black guy. And then got me to thinking like Arsenio Hall, like his show was huge. But
and then it just went
I
away.
guess Trevor Noah had a show for a little bit, but like then late night went right back to being a bunch of white guys, right? Like you think maybe there was going to be change, and then poof, we're back to 50 years ago, right? Regression.
Yeah. Now there used to be. Remember that WB network?
Yes.
That was the network for a lot of predominantly black casted sitcoms and everything else like that.
And remember,
Steve Harvey show.
News, and Fox News came to prominence through its black programming
In Living Color.
In Living Color and all those great The Rock, Rock,
absolutely.
Why those shows were on Fox?
Yes, they were all on Fox.
When Fox first started, as it's the fourth network, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
the fourth major network. I mean, it was really a lot of those shows appeared on Fox, whatnot. But they all Died on a slow vine, man.
Martin was great.
Martin was on there too. Yep, Martin
Outstanding.
was on Fox.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Martin was on Fox. So many great shows. So many great shows.
Yeah, Mark, it's worth the watch. Actually, I think I watched 80% of it. We were watching it like on the, we didn't have the thing plugged in, and the battery went, and we were like, let's go to sleep, because we've been watching it for like 2+ hours. We kind of went through his whole career. Anyway,
Well,
I'm recommending it. Sicily, I'm giving it the thumbs up on my documentary meter.
Strongly recommend. Strongly recommend.
well, gentlemen, I've got to run. You're more than welcome to continue to use the platform.
I got to run too. I got to get some.
What are we like, Big Brother, where the camera just stays on us for 24 hours? You know what, Mark? We can take the week off. We can chop this up into like 5 different segments.
So it's probably so. I see. You all need a good editor. That's what y'all need next.
We all need a good editor. You know what? AI is a good editor. It'll slice and dice this thing up. Yeah, you'll never see the light of day. But like I told you, everybody, we needed 2 subscribers to get to 1,000. So we're banking on you to push us over the top tonight. All right, always a pleasure.
I guess if I'm on again, it's because you got those 2 subscribers. If I'm not.
Otherwise, don't sit by the phone. It ain't gonna ring.
Make sure to I'll check that YouTube count on my own.
All right, gentlemen.
Great seeing you
Have a
guys.
great
All right,
evening.
good stuff. All right, take it easy. Thanks, everybody. All right, bye-bye.
Bye bye.